la famille.
So very quickly, 2 words about me. It's 30 minutes. I don't want to bore you with persons or products or things like that. So this is the title, and I think the interesting potential thing to share is a little bit of history of what has happened and how we dealt with these things. So about Soldo, we're a startup, of course, fintech. Cool, regulated fintech with the capital F and capital T, full stack regulatory and technology, and we do spend management and very cool things with cards and pay spend automation and all the things around how companies deal with their own costs. Done with this short 1 minute break, just to say, more important than that probably is you can see me on video, and video doesn't lie. I'm not a millennial entrepreneur, so I've done a few things. I've done a lot of companies. I've done always different companies even before I knew they were called startups, and then scale ups, and then exits, and so on. So I like to do it. Evidently, I'm masochist enough to go back and start again every time. And this is just to put in perspective some of the things I'm going to say. So when COVID hit, so I'm just sharing my experience and hoping it can be of use. When COVID hit, we were just doing our own startup-y, scale-up-y thing, so growing crazily, doubling up headcount, spending the money of our last round, as it should be. Not necessarily I believe in all the things that should be done in that context, but sort of the money comes with strings attached. If you want money from VC, you have to behave in a certain way. Otherwise, the thing doesn't work. So we were doing that, and then COVID hit, and then one thing was I don't know how to say, very clear from day one, and unsurprisingly so. There was the shift 180 degrees of the mindset of the capital markets. The moment you start seeing articles with people talking about black swan and all these things, it's changed. The pendulum was going in one direction, now it's going in the other direction, and quite quickly. So that is very important. It's very important because startups are very fragile entity. Well, most startups obviously die, and that's a fact of life. But even those who survive for a long time until they're really standing on their own legs, they are very fragile and very dependent on the capital market. So very dependent on VC money, basically, on investors' money, because until you are able to be free from that means you are profitable and you can grow organically, you require a constant investment, a constant influx of money. So when the market changed so suddenly and abruptly their point of view, it's very dangerous. So very first thing, should we survive? The very first thing was, check out, just did a round, or quite recently did a round, and of course didn't spend all the money, check. That's just sheer luck. We were in a good position because we were lucky having done a round, the round basically in the summer, and so still being sitting on some money. Somebody can be less lucky, and that's just luck, and probably there is not much you can do because especially in the first months, the panic spread out. VCs tend to be quite aligned. I'm not saying herd mentality, but a lot of alignment. So the sudden impossibility to price deals meant nobody was very willing to put money on the table, and if they were, probably at very harsh condition for the entrepreneur. But we were lucky somebody wasn't. I feel for them because no fault. But the big question after having dealt with that and basically just recognizing that this shift of wind is like, you see the dark, you see the clouds, you see the light coming in. Okay, storm is coming, the storm is coming, button up the hatches and then lower your sail, and then just you're going to get the storm in your teeth, and that's the only way you can do it. So that was the list of the problems, especially because we knew, well, we had enough at least to float and not to sink. The reason I was saying the thing before at the very beginning, I've been through this at least twice in the world of startups. The big bubble burst of the 2000 was something very similar. Andreessen called it what happened after that, the nuclear winter of the internet. It was something like that. We went from the very height of a crazy new economy bubble to, well, just internet stinks, and nobody wants to have anything to do with that. And it's been hard. It's been hard on people. It's been hard on companies. It's been hard on us that were there. So yeah, I remember that when we went from one point of view to the other in a matter of just a few months. In this case, it was in a matter of just a few weeks. And then in a way, the 2008 financial crisis created another black swan moment and big dry up of funds. Even though in that case, I believe, unless you were in certain industries, the effect on the real market was less abrupt. It took some time to percolate all the way down to the normal people. So going back to that, okay, recognizing it's a big change, a big shift, we have to live through that. Storm is coming. Luckily, we had enough to float. The next question was more existential. I don't know. It's just that's the way we did it. That's the way I did it. But I think it's sharing this level of introspection could be useful. I asked myself the question if we should survive. I'm not saying should your startup survive. I have the recipe. So if it is A and B and C, then yes. If not, it's no. It's not the quiz. It's not the quick test. It's just the question I asked myself in the context of our own company, and that was a big moment because COVID was well, nobody knew exactly what would create, but between the financial market effect and the overall economy effect on things, it was clearly an example of a big change. So, should we survive COVID? Do we have the right to think we are we should survive COVID? We should. Should, it doesn't mean we would. And of course, even if we shouldn't, of course, we would try to survive anyhow. But still, honestly, if I was inventing a startup now, I wouldn't invent WeWork because everything changed because of COVID to the point where possibly that idea is challenged in its core. But the answer I gave to myself for the company was yes, we should survive COVID. Again, no guarantee, but at least it means it's a battle worth fighting, not just because it is survival, but because it makes a lot of sense. Because if we wouldn't survive COVID, then well, we would die. But somebody would have to build what we have done again. And post-COVID, building what we have built will cost the same in terms of money and will cost the same in terms of time. So it would be really a stupid waste to throw away everything we've done. So we had a moral right to survive. Then the next step is, well, can we survive? How could we survive? We are in spend management in financial services, but one big use case for us is business travel. As you can imagine, we saw business travel switch off all over Europe in a matter of 3 weeks. From Italy, that was the first, all the way to Ireland and the UK. The UK probably was one of the last. And that was that. So like half of your revenues disappeared overnight, well, in a matter of a couple of weeks. And that left a big hole, not just a hole in the revenues that affect your EBITDA or P&L. At the end of the day, we are still young enough that our revenues only cover a small part of our cost. So that's why the importance of the financing. But it gives you a big hit on the single thing that you need to sell to stay alive. That is your growth capability. So we were hit, and given that we thought we had the right to survive, we just said, okay, we now need to find a way to resist this, to survive this storm, to resist through this turbulence and challenges that COVID is going to be throwing at us, and put everybody to work. So yeah, of course, cut cost. There was a matter of we started doing even before articles about Black Swan were coming. Been there, done that. I know that thing. So we went from growth mode to hoard the resources and round around the encampment. The next thing was cut every single cost. Yeah, of course, everybody was doing that. But then you have to do it again, and then you have to do it again, because you never really cut your cost until you have done it 3 times. And every time there is always something more that you can do. You must be very, very disciplined, because the perception of cutting cost is like stopping doing what you were doing. There is always a little bit of resistance to the actual idea. So yes, we do it. We did it, and we did it again, and then we did it again, and then we thought that we had cut to the bone. In cutting to the bone, one of the things that we did was just go back to basic principles. We are a family. Well, like the family, we are a family. So in case of problems, you look inward and you defend your family. So the very first thing we did was, well, apart from cutting cost, was cutting everything that was being done outside. So before we touched one of our person, what we thought was we will kill, we will cut, we will eliminate every single opportunity where money, instead of being used for an internal person, member of our team, can end up being used for somebody else. It's just basic survival. It's like when you end up in the cold and your body starts shutting down, your limbs, legs and arms and so on, to keep the energy on the body, in order to allow you better chances of survival, perhaps without a toe, but survive. So we did that. There was another, well, difficult thing, of course. There are a lot of people working with the company from the outside of the company that are almost family, but at some point you have to decide, and you prioritize, and that was the thing. And then we stopped. Again, we were lucky because we created a business plan that allowed us to do that under certain assumptions that I'm going to discuss in a moment, and also because we were able to stand up to the board. Of course, board all over the world were like vampires in an abstinence crisis. They want blood. Especially the Americans. The very first thing they want to see when something like this happens is half of the people in the street. We managed to avoid that. We managed to avoid firing people. We ended up doing a little bit of restructuring of some areas, and I still feel for those, even though we did a lot, I believe, to lessen the thing, and it took us months to decide what to actually execute that thing. It was just a handful of people, but not because of COVID, but because of areas of the company that credibly we wouldn't sustain anymore for the following few years. So it was just a restructuring more than a reduction in size because of COVID, but we were able to save the people. And the saving of the people, even against well, as a challenge to a lot of discussions we had on the board, I think was one of the most important things that I felt so much, because you cannot throw away the people that are the asset of your company, that you spend so much in terms of energy, that is money, to build, just because it would optimize your cash flow. Before you do that, there are so many things that you have to do. And actually, I still believe that if we were to do that, it would be ethically wrong. I'd rather try to raise some more money and dilute myself a little bit more than take the easy way out. My opinion, I'm not judging if anybody did anything different. Well, apart from companies doing that after having raised a few hundreds and then a few weeks later starting firing people. But also because it would make no sense. As we said, we were going to make sense in the world of tomorrow, and we needed everybody to build the world of tomorrow. So if you throw away people, if you eliminate the actual blood of your company, then what company remains? What are you going to do? We were not going to go into hibernation. Actually, we had big plans for the future, actually because of COVID. So we couldn't do that. Well, we were lucky. We did that. And we did that conditional to the fact that we could sustain our revenues. So basically, in a nutshell, we lost half of the revenues. We put everybody, we did everything, and we are still doing some of it. Actually, almost all of it. We did everything to survive, because the key word was resistance, and resistance meant we are going through the desert, but we want to bring everybody with us and leave no one behind. And so we created new products, we created new business models, you created new propositions that were enabled by COVID. COVID took something out of us, took away something, and so we used COVID to bring something to replace that. Well, some of it was also the fact that if you are in lockdown, you don't travel, but if you are in lockdown, you spend more online. So some of it was just a rebalancing of anti-cyclical components of our business, but some of it was completely new. We created entire lines of product for governments handling the COVID emergency. Of course, without COVID, there would be no opportunity to do that. Was it hard? Yes. We had to do it in a very short amount of time, and we ended up doing a lot of jobs that probably we wouldn't have chosen to do in a growth mode. Yes, but you do what you need to do. So that was our recipe for how we could survive, and we're still surviving for now, and we also raised a little bit more money. So we sort of are trying to be in a good position, especially because we believe that we can prosper post-COVID. Then again, I'm not good because I'm not cool because I'm saying so. It's just that we happen to be in a position where we can leverage that opportunity. Between the range of, if you were in, let's say, B2C travel, COVID was a real problem. If you were working in Zoom, COVID was a real blessing. Well, we are somewhat in the middle. We have headwinds and tailwinds, and it's up to us to make the most of the tailwinds and minimize the effect of the headwinds. So yes, I believe we have defined our own recipe for why post-COVID for us the opportunities will be bigger. I'm not saying the opportunities for company valuation will be bigger. Company valuation is a strange thing. It goes up, down, left, right. You don't really control it. Most of the time, it's just sheer luck or lack of a good opportunity. So bad luck. I'm talking about building the business, building the industry, the company we're doing, and evolving the industry segment we're in. I believe that COVID, in our specific world, is bringing in a big acceleration in the digital transformation of companies. and that means that everything we do, where we've always considered our biggest enemy the status quo, the inertia of continuing to do things in a less than optimal way, would be changed by COVID. You could just say we do spend management. We do two things: we manage the way you spend your money to make sure you have full control and nothing strange happens. Well, cash is king. My CFO recently, I saw him in an interview, said cash is even more than king. What's above king? It's God that gives king his role. Okay, whatever is cash, you can not waste it anymore, and that's clear. So handling it properly becomes very, very important. That's our job. Nice. We have benefited from this focus and shift of focus on cash. But even more than just cash, the way you manage finances and processes about finances in your company. I'm not necessarily meaning startups. The reality is the big market is done very normal companies. All those processes are very inefficient. A lot of people in the back office doing monkey work of duplicating and copying data from one system to another, and repeatedly applying the same logic every month to classify, to reconcile, and on and on. Again, can you avoid in the world of tomorrow thinking about optimization, thinking about efficiency, even thinking about, well, quality of what you do, but also quality of life of those who do that kind of thing. So altogether, again, another reason why we could claim tomorrow there will be more attention. So more attention to the things we say, more. It's like as if we had accelerated what we were trying to do in terms of evangelizing the market about our proposition. We've been accelerated by the events, and that is happening in many other areas and industries. So those are the industries benefiting from that. Well, you only have to see what is happening in listed SaaS as a proxy. Of course, they're going through the roof, and even all the digital companies are going through the roof, and a lot of other companies instead of suffering, because the market is just saying we believe with our collective understanding, we believe that there will be more opportunities. We believe that too. But last thing is, and it connects back to we cannot lose anybody, is the world of tomorrow is not the world of yesterday. So yes, there will be a bigger opportunity, but it will be a different opportunity. So we need to retool our factories. We need to change our product and strategy. We need to work hard on asking ourselves what should be my vision and my roadmap in the world of tomorrow, because it's not going to be the same as the world of yesterday. Travel is not going to come back in a month or so. It will take years. A lot of other opportunities are now growing faster than travel in other segments. So we will need to change this. And that's one more reason why we cannot lose capacity, because all this change to make us eligible to prosper post-COVID are not for free. We need to work hard. Well, you always need to work hard, but in this case, yes, we need to work even more hard to change all these things. So that's again, it's not a universal truth. It's not a recipe. It's just a testimonial. We went through this. We thought like that. This was the framework. This was how we reasoned. These were the things we saw, and so far it has been quite working. But obviously, jury's still out. Turbulence is still there. There is still a lot of work to do. But in a way, I hope something like this and sharing the way it's been seen is potentially an interesting thing to share. It could, the hope, just one glimpse of it or one bit of it or any part of it could be helpful for somebody else. Well, I think it was worthwhile to spend 30 minutes trying to tell you. Then up to you to decide what you want to do with this. So I believe I'm coming to the end of the the session of my, or at least of the first 30 minutes where I was the one doing the talking. It seems no questions are there. So in the interest of filling up the thing, well, I can continue along these lines, well, is there a question? How did your company change during COVID, and do you adapt your product? Well, yes, we changed. I saw there were a number of sessions linked to the way we changed how we worked. Yes, of course, we changed how we worked. We entered lockdown on average, real lockdown, so closing the office around 10 days before it became law in every single country we were in, just because I'm Italian. I'm in London. The company is in London, but I'm Italian, so I have connection with Italy. And Italy was one of the first countries that were hit. So I sort of had advance warning, and I saw what was happening there. So we just decided to anticipate rather than follow this trend. We went into lockdown, and it was at the end of the day quite easy. I think we startups have had a very privileged opportunity in that sense, because normal companies have suffered a lot more. We were already very virtual. We specifically having offices in 4 cities in 3 countries, we were already very, very virtual. And I don't mean offices as in we have the sales office in each market. The actual company split in different pieces. So almost every single process covers more than 1 country. And every single meeting we were doing, or almost every single meeting we were doing, had a number of people participating on screen. Going from there to full screen, so to everybody on the screen was not a big thing. We even closed some offices just where we had the opportunity not to pay the rent anymore. We kept some others. We right-sized, so we reduced significantly the size of it, and we are now tasking ourselves what should be next. And my strong impression is next is going to be very different from before. And I don't know. It took me some time to get there, but the reality is I'm quite sure that we will. I'm not saying we will become a fully virtual company like that. It's not easy, but I'm saying we probably are thinking that is a potential opportunity, and my thinking is I prefer to leave virtually on the screen, and then instead of having an office where you just go there to have a desk, to provide a desk to everybody who has not a desk in their home, or the home is not the right place. That's for sure, due to the company. But I believe that the real opportunity is let's stay virtual, but when we meet, let's meet meaningfully. So rather than having an office where, you have socialization because you find somebody, you encounter somebody in a corridor, or you exchange 2 words at the coffee machine, I personally prefer to think, let's stay virtual, but when we meet, let's do a retreat, let's do a focused thing, let's do something relevant. For us, going virtual has not been a problem of productivity. Actually, the contrary. We became so productive that actually the problem risk being burnout. I've been doing, I think, 12 hours of video conference every day since March. And yeah, it's tiring. Yeah, you have to find the right way to do it. But the eliminating the I take a plane every week routine, and I spend time on the bus to go back and forth from the office routine of every day has brought so much to my life, and haven't affected most of the relationship and the things I do with the people I work with, most of which are in another country, so we were not meeting at the coffee machine every day anyhow. That I believe that there are a lot of things that are going to change and remain different going forward. Okay, nice. The team emotional psychological well-being was a real challenge, in part because you need to be able to stay alone and be happy, and not everybody is the same. I'm a little bit of I tend to be happy when I'm alone. I'm not very social, but that's just me, and I can understand there are many different ways you look at that. But more than that, it's I'm alone. What does it mean? Am I alone in the dark? I'm left behind. What's going to be the future? I cannot read what's going on in the company with the usual small signals and things. I cannot interpret the mood of the company like I was before. So I think you need to be very clear with people. At the end of the day, two things. One is, we're building a company. We need to do certain things. We can like it, we cannot like it, but that's the way it is. So let's share the problems, let's share the issues, let's share the doubts we have. You need to be very transparent, even more so when the only thing you have is a face on video. The other thing is you need to be very deliberate on how you spend the time and invest time on the way you work, on the new social protocols, on the new way you organize things, because it's not going to be happening just by chance. It took us 50 years for the current modern office way of working to emerge out of a number of different things. It's not going to be that now we go completely virtual and everything will fit into place in the right way just by chance. So you need to work on it. I believe that the virtual safe space, I believe that thing should be seen in two ways, and it also connects to the well-being. I believe we are all athletes in stressing one muscle, and like every athlete, you need a coach. You need somebody to help you through your process of evolution, of coping with the challenges and making the best of what you have. So because of that, I believe yes, it's more than a safe space. There should be always a safe space, as in we can talk. But more than that, I believe there must be the company is responsible for creating a safe space or a support network that is outside of the company, because it's you need to be outside if you want to provide to your people the proper outlet for their doubts. Yeah, of course, there are doubts about the company, the way we work, the way we do things. We do that every day. We fight every day. We challenge what we were doing in order to make it better, or the thinking of other people. So that thing is quite natural, already exists, at least I believe so in the company. But if you really are talking about fears, if you're really talking about doubts and certain things, I believe it's the duty of the company to provide support, but that support must be outside. If my son has a problem, it must go with somebody else. That's not me. I'm part of the problem, very probably. So I believe it's important. You always thought about your people. Yes, probably. Now you have to be investing even more time, even more energy in thinking like that, because you and your people are going through a strange transformational period that is untested waters. Nobody knows how it's going to be. So, so in a way, you need to invest on that, and the company has the responsibility to other people, not the other way around. Pure la famille.